Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be way too complicated, but there is a better, simpler way to buy. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to live events. And right now, get a $20 rebate on your first purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code Bomani today.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Right Time. I got started early. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on the ESPN radio and the ESPN app. I almost want to start over. I normally get on the beat right here in the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 100flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. I'm not sure if the Giants played this weekend, but I'm sure someone will let me know what happened with the Giants this weekend. Shannon, did the Giants play this weekend?
I have to check. I didn't see the game, so I have to check the internet, see if they played.
Oh, but there was a game.
Yeah, there was a game.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's funny. You said you didn't know they played a game. You said you didn't watch the game, even though.
There was a game. I didn't know if there was a Giants game.
Oh, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this came down to. Oh, okay. But in the meantime, Shannon, why worry about that? The Cowboys lost. There we go. Does that make you happy, doesn't it? Doesn't that make you feel better? Doesn't that make you feel better the Cowboys lost? Cowboys lost to the Rams. Score was 35-30. Did we have a Rich Carlos situation where my man hit 7 field goals? Did we have that? Shout out to whoever has their line as their fantasy kicker. Rams came out there and put 35 points up on the Cowboys while kicking 7 field goals. The Rod Marinelli bend but don't break. Man, that's a lot of bending. That is a whole lot of bending. And the Rams, are they good? I understand. I have said at different points this year that I thought the Rams could be good just because I feel like the Rams have too much talent in places that matter, right? Like the Rams have Todd Gurley. Jared Goff is talented. He looked awful last year, but I never denied that he would be talented. They went out, they got Sammy Watkins, they got Aaron Donald on defense, right? They got players. So you think, okay, you get some coaching in there, they might be able to get this thing going. They got that dude McVay. They call him Doogie Howser, apparently, because he's like 21 years old and he's coaching the NFL team. Hey, man, they are balling, and that offense looks good, and Todd Gurley is back to looking like a guy that you think could potentially be the best running back in the league, and the Cowboys, not good, at least not right now. And what's happened with the Cowboys that I think is interesting is that big offensive line that we figured would carry them the whole way is not. They're still struggling with getting the ball to Dez Bryant. Dez had 5 catches for 98 yards. Shannon, you know how many times that they targeted Dez Bryant in this game?
What's up?
13. They only got it to him 5 times. Dak Prescott threw 16 incomplete passes in this game. 8 of them registered as targets to Dez Bryant. 8 of them as targets to Dez Bryant. So that line is not creating holes like we thought. Your man Zeke hadn't really been running like you would have expected. Albert Morris had that big old run, almost gave it up at the end. It's good to see him jump in the time machine right fast, even though he is only in year 6, but that's how the NFL works. Year 6 is old for a guy like that. And now the Cowboys, who I think a lot of us thought were a legitimate Super Bowl contender in the NFC, the Cowboys are 2-2, and they are looking similarly mediocre to much of their division. I mean, they look better than than the Giants, but other than these other cats, not nearly as much. Everything we thought about that division is sitting upside down. We got a game tonight where Washington might turn out and go 3-1. And did you expect that, Shannon, that we would have a situation where it would be perhaps Washington and Philadelphia carrying the flag for this little division?
I remember when we joked early this season when Washington and Philly played, and we said it was the battle to see who wasn't going to finish in last place.
Yes. Washington looked all offseason like it was set to come apart. And to be honest, we've watched them play. The thing about Washington, at least for me, that has been interesting is that their defense has been much better than I expected, right? Even giving up the 30 in the first game, I felt like their defense was better than I expected it to be. That being said, after seeing the Raiders this weekend, I don't know what to make of Washington holding the Raiders to 10 points because the Raiders were looking rather boo-booey out there against the Broncos this weekend. So what do we have here? We have a division that is legitimately interesting and compelling now because it seemed like we were going to have 2 teams that were way better than the rest of them. One of those teams looks like they stink, and the other one appears to be underachieving a little bit. And the other thing to me, and you guys let me know if I'm tripping here, the Cowboys seem to be underachieving, but not for the reason that I thought they might underachieve if they were to underachieve this year. I thought that if the Cowboys were to underachieve this year, it would be a byproduct of Dak Prescott suffering a perfectly reasonable level of regression from last season, right? Like, I thought that it would be that now they're putting more on the plate for Dak, and as they put more on the plate for him, then it gets to be a little difficult. We see this with quarterbacks all the time in year two, right? And sometimes he, like, pushes himself off for one more year, but we see these things happen very often. I've thought that Dak has been really good this year. I have felt that he has been better than he was last year, no matter what the Cowboys' numbers are, no matter what the stats say. Like, just from looking at him, I thought that he has been better this year than he has been last year, like in a very obvious sort of way. Yet the rest of the team is out here kind of, stanking up the joint. Defense has had, like, good game, bad game, good game, bad game. Although, Shannon, you tell me if I'm tripping here. Can we count the first good game that the Cowboys defense had? Remind me, who they played the first week? They only gave up 3 points, but I can't remember who they played.
Yeah, they won at home against the Giants.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we got to throw that out. We don't even know what to do with that. Damn Cardinals. Cardinals just went to overtime with the 49ers over the weekend. So are the Cowboys now like an example of a team that plays well against bad teams? Is that what they are? Because, I mean, as of now, I feel fairly confident saying that the Cardinals will qualify as a bad team. And the Giants. Woo! What'd you think about that, Shannon?
I think there's still a lot to be determined there with the Cowboys.
I was asking you about the Giants.
Oh, that's what we're going with.
I was just saying whether they qualified as a bad team or not. I didn't want to get a vote as we put
I'll
together.
put it like this: the Giants are the best 0-4 team in the league right now.
Is that right? Are you sure they're better than the Browns?
Been working on that all night.
Who told you they were 0-4 though? I thought you said you ain't.
That's what the rumor in innuendo is.
Word.
That's what the people are saying.
That's what the streets is out here talking about. Wow, we got a lot of 0-4 teams, by the way. I didn't realize how many. We got 4 0-4 teams. We got the 49ers. We have the Giants. We have the parts unknown Chargers, because I don't feel like they have a home. The Chargers are like rastas with masks on. They ain't got no fans. They walking down the street. Nobody recognizes them. But anyway, back here to the Cowboys. So what's it going to take for them? Like, I don't have a great answer. Like, when I watch them, I feel like their defense at its best is better than I thought it would be. At its worst is kind of what I expected them to be. With the offense, do they require just having this massive road grader line? And if they're not creating giant holes in the running game, everything else goes away? Because I figure with Zeke, Zeke got a lot going on in the offseason. I don't really know, what he was focusing on, where his mind at, any of those things, right? But I did not think that Zeke was a running back that was dependent on huge holes, right? That level of talent, I thought that if you had a pretty good offensive line, then he could make some things happen. Subsequent to that, it's hard for me to say that this Cowboys line is not a decent line at this point, even if they are not the incredible one that they were last year. Like, the changes they made, so what, Doug Free is no longer playing right tackle, and now Lyle Collins is. Well, Lyle Collins is a guy that people thought potentially could be like a starting left tackle in the NFL. So one would think that he would be okay at right tackle. I guess Ron Leary left the team. They put somebody else over there. I don't know why I'm acting like I know this much about offensive lines when I obviously do not. But I thought that this team certainly would be better. And you hope they're going to be better because they put the Cowboys on TV all the time, bro. Cowboys-Packers next week, by the way. Game of the week. Like, bad Cowboys. Bad for the larger football fandom as a whole. Wow, Shannon, I was going to talk about the Rams, and then all I've been seeing you do is talk about the Cowboys. Cowboys kind of have that effect, don't they? Should we listen to Sean McVay talk about Jared Goff? Because Jared Goff threw for 300 yards on the Cowboys. Here's Sean McVay talking about Jared Goff.
I think the biggest thing that I continue to come away impressed with Jared is that at crunch time, he just keeps an even keel. His blood pressure never raises. And I think he's a special player. I think he's continuing to get better. I love the way that he just handles the game, with that even keel demeanor, Vinny. And I thought he was at his best when, the moments were the most important. And being able to make a couple of those third down plays, you look at some of the throws, even in that drive, where you're running off some clock, forcing them to use their timeouts. Hits Sammy on the play action, ends up doing a handful of things where he's able to create outside the pocket, in the pocket, made some big third down throws. So I think we're seeing a guy continue to mature. We know we've got a long way to go, but been very pleased with Jared and can't say enough about his effort today.
I generally don't love coach speak, but Shannon, I have to say, he made those cliches sound kind of cool. Like, I was pretty impressed at how entertaining he made all the things I've ever heard anybody ever say sound.
You know what that's telling me, Bo? I mean, you're falling for it, man. Coach McVay. Some people are calling him Coach McBay. I think you're falling hard for him, Bo.
I mean, did you see the Rams last year? If you saw Jared Goff last year and then have seen Jared Goff this year, it's hard not to fall for McVay. Keep in mind, I watched what he did with that dude Cousins in Washington. I mean, like, he seems to be as advertised. I'm skeptical of, like, the notion of the quarterback whisperer and everything else. Nah, man, homies seem to be what they say. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next. Who wants to laugh at the Giants? Shannon, you want to laugh at the Giants? I said, Shannon, you want to laugh at the Giants? He's already laughing. He just hasn't turned his microphone on. You're listening to ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 8.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Dave Rothenberg of ESPN Radio in New York will join us at next segment. Dave Rothenberg will join us at 4:30 Eastern. Talk about a certain New York football team. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. And hey, it's time for Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. So the Giants look like they might was gonna win. They looked like they had a chance to win. Tampa Bay had one of the big breaks that Tampa Bay had was that Tampa Bay missed the extra point. Now it's going to put the Giants in as good position as they had come down the field with a chance to really win that game. They were up by 1 because of that extra point. And then Tampa made the field goal, took them to the crib, got that dub. Giants sitting there at 0-4. Let me read some statistics off for you guys about the Giants. The Giants' pass rush only pressured Jameis Winston 1 time in his 15 dropbacks, none on the game-winning drive. But bright side, they did pressure him pretty well for the 3 quarters before that. Did a lot of sending secondary plays. They were trying to get creative with it. Yeah, that's about all I got, Shannon. By the way, Odell Beckham leads the league in drops, even though he missed the first game of the year. He has 5 drops so far this season. Yeah. Eli hasn't been especially good. The Giants are 0-4. New York City got 2 football teams. Got 2 wins through 4 weeks between 2 football teams. Only one of those teams got to win. And that team would be the New York Jets. The New York Jets have 2 wins, Shannon. The Giants have none.
All right, but I was thinking about this, and I'll ask you as well as the listening audience out there. Is it time for me to quit the Giants this year? Like, is it time to throw in the towel? They're 0-4 right now. Is it time?
Will you miss them? If you lost them, would you miss them? Would you miss the Giants? Because they are treating you. Now, are you talking about throwing it in the towel for life or just for renting?
Oh, no. Just throwing in the towel for this season, not for life. No, I can't quit
you
that.
Can't give them up.
No.
You can't give up the narcotics. You just think about throwing in the towel for this season. Now, are you the type that only needs 1 win, maybe 2, and then you back on the wagon? Because, hey, let's get a look at the schedule for the Giants because I feel like it's a possibility they might be able to get this thing back rolling again. I mean, Shannon, that defense should be better than it is, right?
You would think, but watching that Giants, and yes, they are. I still think the Giants' defense is good, but they don't get off the field on 3rd downs, I noticed.
They do not. Which is strange because they seem to be a team, at least in theory, that should be able to get a pass rush, right? Now, wasn't Vernon hurt in the second half yesterday?
Yeah, he actually got hurt in the game against the Eagles, so he was questionable coming into this game, and then he re-aggravated that injury. So, yeah, he was hurt, and he left the game.
Yeah, okay, now, Shannon, it's the 0-4 Bowl next week at Snoopy. You got the Chargers coming into town. So that could be a win, right? Right. It's a 1 o'clock kick, a West Coast team. So you got a win there. You're going to play at the – okay. And then you got maybe the Seahawks at home. You think they could pull that off? No? Okay. The Rams. Not as easy as it used to be. Hey, you get to go play at the 49ers on November the 12th. I done found you 2 wins by November the 12th. I would consider throwing in the towel if I were you.
Right now, the strive is we're trying to be great at 8-8. That's the goal right there. We need a catchy slogan right now for the Giants. Just be great at 8-8.
That's what you want.
That's what we're going with right now. That's the goal right now.
All we're shooting for is a mid-round pick. By the way, if you're irritated with your football team, you may be a lot like head of security McAdoo. Here he is talking about that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. Disappointed. Irritated. not just one drive. It's not just one play. We need to do fundamentally. We need to do things better. We need to catch the ball better. Blocking. We took a step in the run game today, I thought. I thought Gallman gave us some juice there from the backfield. But tackling continues to show up on defense. We need to tackle better. I'm irritated that we're 0-4. But we need to go to work.
Frustrated. Irritated. Yeah, they weren't able to run the ball again. Like, he's talking about Gallman giving us some juice. Shannon, Gallman had 11 carries for 42 yards.
Yeah, for the Giants' run game, that would be considered juice.
Yeah. How about Pine-Top Perkins? Pine-Top Perkins had one run that went 14 yards and had 9 carries for 13 the whole game. You know who the Giants' second leading rusher was in that game? You know who it was? Go ahead, tell us, Shannon. Giants' second leading rusher. I bet you know.
All right, without even looking at the stat sheet, was it Eli?
It was Eli
Oh,
Manning.
God.
It was Eli Manning. Your punter keep hitting the ball off the side of his foot. He can't even get it right. There's all these things here for the Giants. And now I get, like, one of the great joys of living in New York. It's like one of these things that you dream about when you don't live here. But now I'm here, which is a terrible football team and watching the people who love it come apart at the seams. Like, I've only imagined what this is like from the outside. Now I feel like I'm full on in the New York experience, and I will experience all you guys' misery without having to experience any of it myself because I don't care. All I have to do is antagonize you guys. Also, Shannon, Eli, 30 for 49 for 288 yards. That's 5.9 yards per attempt.
That's the Giants' running game. I mean, honestly, these short passes, I don't know if that's to do with the offensive line and their inability to, one, pass block or run block, but that's the Giants' running game right now is these short, quick passes.
Yeah. Yeah, and they gave up big plays, too, like that O.J. Howard play, right? I mean, it's big plays that he's giving up. Shannon, they let the other tight end, they let O.J. Howard have a 58-yard catch, and the other tight end have 4 catches for 80 yards. And for all the people tuning in at home, yes, I am staring at the box score as we speak. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone. Number to Rudy in Queens. Rudy, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, what's good, Bomani? Hey, yo, tell Shannon to keep hope alive, man. Dallas Cowboys, that's my squad. They got 2 wins and 2 losses. I'm ready to throw in the towel, so tell them to keep hope alive.
Yeah, there you go, Shannon.
I appreciate that positivity. Thank you very much.
No, that's all he wanted to tell you. That was it. 888-729-3776. Talk to Kevin in North Carolina. Kevin, thanks for calling the right time.
Thank you very much. Shannon, please, you got to keep hope alive. I know it's bad right now. We're not looking good. But we're going to finish the year 10-6 in first place, win the division, and we're going to keep it moving. We're going to keep it moving. That's what we're doing right now.
10-6?
Whoa, 10-6.
Ooh, that's lofty goals right there. Did you not hear the slogan? We're going to be great at 8-8. The Giants will be great at 8-8. That's what we're going with right now. 10 wins. Ooh, that's less lofty. Let's stick with 8 for right now. Be great at 8-8.
Shannon, you got to shoot for the Galaxy. If we don't get it, we'll go for 8-8. But we're going for 10-6. We can win this division. What? We got the Cowboys, we got the Eagles, and we got the Deadskins. I mean, we can do this. We got to win Sunday, though. We got to win Sunday.
Kevin.
We got to win Sunday.
Kevin, you don't believe a word of this, do you?
Yes, I do, bro. I believe it. You got to believe.
Kevin, but you don't. That's the thing. You have to believe. But do you really believe what you're saying right now?
Yes, I do. I do believe.
Bless your heart.
As a lifelong Giants fan, I believe.
Well, look, call us up next week, win or lose, all right?
Oh. I will do that. I will definitely do that, Bo.
Appreciate the call, man.
You know what that was there in Kevin's call right there?
What's that?
That was a lot of maybes, ifs, or probablys.
Yep. Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next. So how bad is it for Giants fans? Wait till you hear Dave Rothenberg of ESPN New York and Fantasy Focus on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. If you've got goals, GNC's got the protein for you. GNC AMP Waybolic is clinically proven to increase muscle size and strength in just 8 weeks. Total Lean is the most comprehensive line of weight management protein. GNC has the best from popular brands like Optimum and Muscle Tech, and in-store exclusives from Ghost and Performix. Try all the awesome, great tasting flavors like cereal milk, Tahitian vanilla, fruity charms, and fudge brownie. Save big with GNC's beat 'em by a buck price match guarantee. Find the right protein formula for your goal at GNC.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest. Check him out on 98.7 ESPN Radio in New York. His name is Dave Rothenberg. Dave, there are two football teams in New York. They have 2 wins between them. The Jets have them all. What happened to the Giants?
I don't know. This is a conversation, Bomani, that you would have asked me to have before the season, and I would have laughed at you. I would have laughed at you if you said the Jets are 2-2 and the Giants are 0-4. I would have called up the guys with like the white jackets to come to your studio and wrap you up and take you away. I'm as shocked as anybody, and it's not because I'm a Giants fan. Like, I thought the Jets were laughing stock lack of talent, and I thought the Giants had a real chance to make some serious noise for the Lombardi Trophy.
All right, now what is most surprising to you? The offense, which we knew struggled but didn't think would be this bad necessarily, or the defense we thought was good and hasn't really been the last couple weeks?
Both. No, really, both. I mean, the first 2 weeks of the season, the offense was comically bad. But let's be honest, Bomani. Last week, the offense gave this team a 21-14 lead. They gave them a chance to win, and the Giants let it get away because the defense gave up 10 points in the final 3 minutes. And yesterday, they did the same thing. The offense put up 23 points, and the defense was bad. And let's be honest, the Buccaneers left a lot of points on the table. They missed a couple of field goals. They missed an extra point. So, you say, well, maybe the Giants got worn down the week before in Philadelphia. All right, that's fine. Well, yesterday they dominated time of possession. They missed a ton of tackles. So, I think what's maybe happened here is we all grossly miscalculated how good of a football team this was. And that happens sometimes. I think maybe there's a chance the Giants are a bad football team. Not only are they coached poorly, what it seems like, not only are they bad offensively, they're not great defensively, and they're dumb. They make a ton of dumb mistakes, and you couple that all in, and that's why they're sitting here at 0-4.
We're talking to Dave Rothenberg, ESPN Radio in New York. You left out the punter with the Shanks. You forgot
2 weeks in a row. Last week, you have like 16 seconds. All you have to do is get off a decent punt. He gets off a 28-yarder, and the Eagles kick a 61-yarder at the buzzer. And yesterday, Giants have a 2nd and 3 with 3 minutes to go. They throw it to Brandon Marshall. It hits him in the hands. He drops it. Next play, incomplete again. They punt it away. Punted away for 15 yards. So it is a cavalcade of errors and mistakes right now for this club.
You good? You straight? You all right?
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure I knew what place you were in. You are there. I mean, imagine it does have to be frustrating. But let me ask you this: where are you on Odell? You Giants fans seem to be a bit polarized about the young man.
Yeah, I think he's a petulant child, is what I think he is. Here's the thing: I think that he is probably, outside of a quarterback, the most dynamic, brilliant player in the NFL right now, and that includes Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell and Julio Jones. Because I don't think there's any one player that's more important to their offense, non-quarterback, than Odell. I know he's great. You know he's great. He knows he's great. McAdoo knows it. Everybody knows it. But the fact that he's got to act like such a buffoon for half the time and needs the owner to come down on him and say, you know what, I don't like the way you're acting, and have a meeting with him. I don't need him to urinate like a dog on the field. He's already got all the attention. He's had it for years. He's a sensational player. But you know what? That act is wearing very thin right now.
See, I don't understand Dave Rothenberg of ESPN Radio in New York. See, I don't understand why you guys just don't live with this, because the guys on the team seem not to have a problem with it because he works so hard.
I get it, and I hear he's a good teammate because, Bomani, why should you cost your team 15 yards? Why should I live with the fact? Now, it didn't cost you against Philadelphia, but a couple of years ago when he acted out against Josh Norman, he was suspended for a game. I mean, you just – and I hear all the time, well, he's young. Well, you know what? He's 24 years old. He's not that young. And if you're going to cost your team 15 yards in big spots, and it's going to cost you games at some point, I can't live with that.
Now, I do agree on that one. The Josh Norman thing was absolutely ridiculous. Like, that level was indefensible. I find him to be silly, but it's like, hey, man, I kind of feel like you're that good. If I were you guys, I'd be making silly T-shirts. Like, maybe everybody else needs to be silly, too.
Yeah, but it's just, you know what, it's not a team leader kind of way to go about you. It's not.
Oh, it's not that.
And it's frustrating, and it's immature, and it's a look at me. And, you know, if you – I don't like it at all, period. Maybe I'm old school, whatever. That's fine. I don't like it at all. When you're doing it, when you're down 14-7 and your team can't score, how about this now, okay? And you think the guys don't take a leadership role from him? Evan Ingram scores a touchdown. The first touchdown they score is in Game 2. and he grabs his crotch and gets a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct. The second touchdown they score in week 3, the guy pretends he's a dog on all fours and tries to urinate on the field. So there was a time where this club had scored 2 touchdowns in, 11 quarters, and both of them they had received 15-yard penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct.
We're talking to Dave Rothenberg, ESPN Radio in New York. Head of security McAdoo. I used to call him Principal McAdoo, but now he got the new haircut and he's head of security McAdoo. How much do you think this is on him?
I think some is on him. I think, he kind of doesn't get it. I feel like, are you going for it on 4th downs? Are you not? Are you aggressive? Are you going for field goals? I feel like it all played out perfectly for the Giants last year. It all did. I mean, the schedule, they turned teams over, they made the big play at the big moment, and he was scot-free because, it all worked out. Schedule's a lot harder this year, and every time there's been that fork in the road, they've gone the wrong way. Now, there's been discussion, are you going to move on from him? I think I was 11-5 last year, and they went to the playoffs. They're 0-4 this year. No, I don't care if they go 1-15. You can't move on from this guy. But am I thrilled with what he's done so far this season? No, and it feels like everything is disconnected. Everything feels like it's on a different page right now for the Giants.
You going to be okay, Dave?
No.
I feel like you should be okay, though.
Well, here's what you don't understand. I discussed this team ad nauseum. I discussed this team for hours and hours, all spring, all summer. What do you think? They didn't even give me till November. They couldn't even make it to Thanksgiving to keep themselves relevant. We are 4 weeks into the season, and they are done. And now I got to sit here and watch the Cowboys, who I hate, the Redskins, who I can't stand, and the Eagles, who are brutal for me. One of those teams is winning this division, and that is just awful, Bomani.
And the Jets are 2-2. That is Dave Rothenberg. Check him out, ESPN Radio, 98.7 FM here in New York City. My man, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Bomani. Thanks, buddy.
All right, now ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Now you can test out Snapshot to see how much you can save before switching to Progressive. Visit progressive.com/snapshot.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Thanks to Dave Rothenberg of ESPN Radio in New York for joining us last segment. Ryan Clark of ESPN will join us in the 5 o'clock Eastern hour. Remember, if you miss anything live, check out the Right Time podcast available on the ESPN app. The Right Time is brought to you by Upside. Now save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip you buy. You'll love Upside.com, Upside.com. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. And, hey, how about those Buffalo Bills? They are the team in the state of New York that's over 500, Shannon. The Jets are merely 2-2, but the Bills are over 500. In fact, I believe that makes them your first place Buffalo Bills, as the Patriots are 2-2. The Dolphins are 1-2, I believe. Either way, they're just the Dolphins. And Shannon, how about the Buffalo Bills? Isn't it good that some team wearing blue and red in New York is doing what they're supposed to do? Well, I guess the Giants don't wear red anymore, do they? It's just blue and gray now.
I think the red is still one of their alternate colors, but they don't do the red jerseys now.
Yeah, I feel like blue and gray, they're just trying to bring America together. You know what I'm saying? It's a reconciliation sort of project. Anyway, but yeah, the Bulls, Tyrod looked good in that game. And I don't have a great answer for you on exactly how good Tyrod Taylor is. I do wonder this, though. If you had taken Tyrod in, say, 2012 and you put him on the Seattle Seahawks, does he turn into Russell Wilson? Like, does he become that guy? Because the thing about Tyrod, I feel like he and Russell Wilson, they have the same major flaw, which is both of them get sacked too often. Like, that's been the thing with Tyrod. But they both also give you, aside from being small and fast, they both throw a good deep ball. Tyrod dropped a couple passes in deep, like off the wrong leg, just dropped it in absolutely perfectly. Had Charles Clay out there looking like Sammy Watkins. And now the Bills are 3-1. Keeping in mind that this is a team that we thought was tanking coming into this season. We didn't see anywhere in the world. I mean, if I would have told you that the Bills were going to go 3-13, you wouldn't have been surprised. They're 3-1 right now. And then there's the Falcons. I mean, honestly, for the Falcons, this is not a game that is unrealistic for them to lose, right? Julio got hurt. Mohamed Sanu got hurt. Now, what is happening, though, is that Matt Ryan in the last couple of games has looked a lot more like the 2015 Matt Ryan than the 2016 Matt Ryan. And you may recall the 2015 Matt Ryan, people were like, yo, it's about time for you to show us something. We're going to need to go find a new quarterback. You may have forgotten that already. And that's when Matt Ryan was throwing all them pick sixes. Right? Like that, it was a bad look for Matt Ryan 2 years ago. Last year, he was the MVP. Now, 5 interceptions and a lost fumble in the last 2 games. And one of those fumbles went back for a touchdown. So it's not a pick 6, but they picked it up and got 6, which is, in effect, the same exact thing. My thought on the Falcons this year was, if there was anything to be encouraged about with them coming into this season, it was the improvement of the defense as the season went along last year. Like, that was the big thing. So, yeah, Kyle Shanahan was leaving. Okay, like, that matters. No one's going to pretend that it did not. But the talent was still going to be there. A lot of that was scheme, but a lot of that was also just talent. They have, those running backs and their ability to catch the ball, the speed of Coleman, the of your man Freeman. Like, there was a lot to be encouraged by. And if that defense had gotten good, then the understandable and reasonable level of regression that one would expect from the offense was going to be offset by the fact that the defense had been good, right? Against Buffalo, I don't feel like the defense was bad necessarily, but I also didn't think that the defense needed to be much better than it was in that game in order for them to win. Like, that's not what I thought. I also could give credit to the Falcons in the sense that they have shaken off, I think, my concern, fear, whatever it was going to be, about how it was that they were going to shake off what happened in the Super Bowl. Like, I don't feel like that's a team that's playing under that cloud. Like, maybe it'll manifest itself at some other point, but I feel like that's almost a non-starter of a point at this moment. But how good does their offense have to be for them to be good? That's a question I don't have a great answer for. Now, next week, they got the Dolphins, and the Dolphins can't put up any points. They got the Patriots. The Patriots can't stop anybody from putting up any points. They get the Jets the week after that. I mean, it's entirely possible they're going to rattle off 3 more of these. And to be fair to them also, they got a couple decent wins. The Packers seems to be a good win. The Lions seems to be a good win. But none of us thought they'd lose a game to the Bills. So should we just give all the credit to the Bills? Like, is that where we're going? Because I'm still not comfortable with this idea of the Bills being good. You're asking for a lot out of me for me to get comfortable with this idea of the Bills being good. Like, it wasn't like Shady was running all over them. They got timely passes in the passing game. But again, I mean, Tyrod threw 20 times. That was it. They're not asking for him to do but so much. But I do believe, Shady, you tell me if I'm tripping here. Now, we are a little more Tyrod-friendly on this radio show because, I covered the ACC for a while. You from Hampton. That's your dude, right? How many wins do you think it's going to take for the Bills before they get trapped into making the good decision of keeping Tyrod as their quarterback?
I think they would have to win the division.
You think that's it?
It's gonna take something like that, and I still have the Patriots winning the AFC East, but it's gonna take that in order for them to be comfortable enough to give Tyrod an extension. Because I just don't think they're still sold on him. I think they feel as though he's good enough this year, and they drafted a quarterback this past year, but I don't think they're still sold on Tyrod.
But how long are they willing to wait for good enough to show up? Right, because that's what the dilemma is. That's what Washington wound up with Cousins. Was that maybe they should have extended him earlier because good enough just isn't going to show up. They're not just going to reach in the draft and get somebody that's ready to play next year. Like, it'll take them at least 2 or 3 years to find somebody as good as Tyrod Taylor is right now, just because of the scarcity of quarterbacks. Unless they think they're one of these guys that's coming out of college, and I've not been terribly impressed by any of them. Lamar Jackson's probably been the most impressive of the college guys, and I'm not sure how his game translates, right? But other than that, who's it going to be? Right? Like, you go ahead, give them some bread, give yourself some certainty at least for the next 2 years. That would be my thought. Go ahead and do that. But, we shall see. Now, for the Falcons, do we know how long Julio going to be out? Because that matters a lot.
Well, they have a bye week this next week, so they don't anticipate him missing any time.
They don't? Okay. Because Julio, there's a serious A.J. Greenish quality for what Julio means to the Falcons, much like A.J. Green means it to the Bengals. Now, I always like it when stories involving Julio Jones come up because it reminds me of this girl I went to college with. Everybody tell you about this girl I went to college with who was from Foley, Alabama? See, Julio Jones is from Foley, Alabama. Ken Stabler, by the way, is also from Foley, Alabama. And I went to college with a girl who was from Foley, Alabama, and she was a real sweet girl, but somehow my homeboys managed to convince her, don't ask me how, that Foley, Alabama had the highest concentration of lesbians of any municipality in the United States of America. I don't know what exactly the spin was that they used to get her to buy into the logic, but they convinced her that per capita, however you want to spin it, there was more lesbians in Foley, Alabama than there was anywhere else in the world. And every time I see Julio Jones, I want to come up and ask him, I'm just curious, man, how many lesbians y'all got in Foley, Alabama? Because somebody once told me, who was from Foley, Alabama, that Foley, Alabama had the highest concentration of lesbians in the United States. You never know what's going on, man. Shannon, you never know what's in people's web browsers. You know what I'm saying?
You can never be too certain.
You can never be too certain. By the way, Julio Jones, he is a come-home all-star. You seen how far back that hairline's going?
It's time.
Yeah, his hairline looked like Julio about to run a deep route on him. It's like, got to get back, got to get back, got to get back. Got to get back as far as I can. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, are the Patriots, at least on defense, that bad? ESPN Radio.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Enjoying this podcast? Then you should check out all of ESPN Film's newly released 30 for 30 podcasts. From the producers of our award-winning documentary series, this is an amazing collection of sports stories you need to hear to believe. Speaking of amazing, Delta Airlines and the Fly Delta app make your travel experience amazingly easy with real-time bag tracking, e-boarding, and passport scanning during check-in. And don't forget to download 30 for 30 podcasts to fill your flight with stories that will keep you coming back for more.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo!
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be way too complicated, but there is a better, simpler way to buy. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to live events. And right now, get a $20 rebate on your first purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code Bomani today.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. Panthers came out on top of the Patriots this weekend. Patriots lost 2 games at home already. They do not lose a lot of games at home. They've lost 2 games at home already. Cam Newton had looked pretty lackluster through this season. You could attribute it to recovering from the injury or whatever else. He had not looked good. He threw an awful interception in the first half of this game, like a full arm punt status, though I have no reason to believe necessarily that was his plan. But he did not look good there, and then after that, it was pew, 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 pew. Dude, they were on it. Patriots defense, whack. There's no other way to put it. And, by the way, what's interesting about the Patriots defense, aside from the fact that they have some personnel issues in the front seven, they also didn't seem to be places where they're supposed to be. Like, the guys that do the film stuff seem to all be looking at it just being like, yo, there were coverage busts. There are all these things that you do not associate with the New England Patriots. Just like on offense, you don't associate them ever with a poor offensive line. At the very least, they'll give you an offensive line you don't have to think about, right? Which is probably the best kind that you can have. The offensive line has been mediocre, and nobody knows how many problems they got. More like Bill Belichick. Listen to your mans.
Whatever they are, they are. Okay, I mean, we play a different team every week. Nothing's quite the same. In the end, the team we play against, we've got to do a better job of defending. We've got to do a better job of attacking. Got to do a better job of, field position in the kicking game. And we just need to do a better job in every area. So that's what we'll work on. Well, everything's important, so, I mean, you need to do a good job in every area. If any part of it's not right, then against a good team, good quarterback, good receivers, then pay the price in this league. So everything's important. Just got to do it right. Got to be more consistent.
See, what's interesting there is that you play against a team with a good quarterback and good receivers, and the Panthers only got one of those. Like, I watched that game, and honestly, I never really understood what the complaints were that people had about Kelvin Benjamin. Shannon, Kelvin Benjamin has not found an out route yet that he could make sharply. Every route is round for Kelvin Benjamin. Kelvin Benjamin is basically saying, I'm going to go stand right there. Like, I'm going to get there. Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm going to stand right there. And the Patriots just couldn't do anything with it. They absolutely could not do anything with it. And then we wind up with the Panthers. And that offense, again, I don't know how much of this is about the Patriots, because the Patriots are looking like the Saints looked last year, like layup lines. Like, everybody gets to make their dreams come true playing against the Patriots, apparently. Like, that's what we've got. When is the last time we had anything similar to that with the Patriots? Because, look, they have not had great defenses, I would say, for a while. Like, I think they had the defense, was it last year? They were first in points allowed. But if you watch that team, you realize that was not a great defense that they were trying out there. Now it's a matter of, hey, that offense needs to be able to put up points. Like, there's no assumption that they can make on this. The offense is going to need to put up points. But, Shannon, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, Amendola played, but they still got, like, they're a bit shaky there in the wide receiving core, right? Because Amendola, if he ain't hurt now, he will be. Edelman's not playing.
They have Chris Hogan, the athletic wide receiver.
Yes.
Brandon Cooks is good, and he's played well for them, but he didn't do much in this game, only 3 receptions. He was targeted 6 times, but only came away with 3 receptions. I mean, Gronk's out there, but Gronk doesn't have the explosiveness that Gronk's had in the past.
Like, where's the firepower? Like, when you look at this team, that becomes the question. Where is the firepower? Although, I tell you, you know what the firepower might be? And I don't know how it's going to go this year. I mean, I'm telling you, I imagine this is going to be the change. Get ready for a lot more Deion Lewis, because whenever Deion Lewis plays for them, Deion Lewis balls. The offense functions really well with Deion Lewis. Like, they're out there running with Mike Gillislee. The only thing is, I don't think of Gillislee as much of a receiver, and I could be wrong about that, but I don't think of him that way. They're best with the running backs out there who you have to worry about maybe that they'll get the ball, but those pass-catching running backs allow them to exploit matchups that make them better. But they're going to have to do whatever it takes to score a bunch of points, because if it ain't firepower, I don't think they're going to be able to get this done.
Yeah, to your point, James White, the running back, had 10 receptions.
Yeah, but for 47 yards. Like, that's it. So they're not a threat to run the ball. They do have guys I feel like they can stretch the defense. Like Dorsett, I mean, yeah, right? But, like, Cooks is a guy that can stretch the defense. Amendola at least has, like, a speed component, and Hogan is a guy that can stretch the defense. They should be able to score points. And to be fair, they put up, like, 30 points in this game. But, Shannon, you know who didn't play so great in this game, I would argue? Again, Tom Brady. Like, he wasn't bad, right? Like, I don't want to act like he was struggling. And it's not like – the one thing about Tom Brady, though, is that even if Tom Brady is not playing excellently, he's not going to throw the ball away. And it's not really like an Alex Smith sort of situation where you're checking down out of opportunities down the field because you're so terribly risk-averse. The dude's just not going to be out here making mistakes. That's a benefit I feel like they have. But I also feel like you got to get more than, like, one 13-yard run out of the running game. Right, like the run feels to me like it's got to be more than simply a change from passing all the time. This is not a game. I don't feel like the Panthers are good enough this year for this to be a game that the Patriots should lose at home. Like, I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. This isn't one. Now, is Cam Newton, quote-unquote, back, right? Because that's what we're going to wind up doing with him because he started off so slow. Is he, quote-unquote, back? I have no idea how you can tell what a quarterback is or is not when they're playing against the Patriots. Like, that's the point I feel like we've reached with the Patriots defense. That being said, one thing with Cam is obviously the Panthers are trying to keep him out of the running game, or they have earlier in the year, right? They're trying to not have so much of their running game centered around him, because the thing about Cam has not simply been that he could run, but that he has been the centerpiece of their running game. Like, their running was centered around him being there and the threat that he presented. I do not think it's a very good idea for them to run the ball with him as they have in previous years. This is year 7 for Cam. I don't know how much longer you're expecting to get out of him, because I'm starting to fear that he's going to wind up having a running back sort of career span because he takes the carries like he is a backup running back. But, man, they look a lot better on offense with Cam is out there as like centerpiece of the running game.
And I will give Cam credit for this. He did slide a lot more in yesterday's game than I have seen him slide throughout his entire career.
Yeah, can't do it no more. Right. Getting too old for that.
Because it's funny because I'm sure the Panthers have had those conversations with Cam, but if you're Cam, hey, I'm bigger than mostly anybody who's out here trying to tackle me. I'll lower the shoulder and get the extra yard. But like you said, he's in year what now? What is it?
7.
Year 7? You can't do that. Yeah, it's slide. You might give up, 3 yards, but slide, live to fight another day.
Yeah, he's doing a slide, and people looking at him like, bro, you used to be able to go shot for shot back in the day. He's like, nah, man, I got to wake up in the morning, man. I can't deal with these headaches.
Speaking of the Panthers and touches, do you have any problems with Christian McCaffrey getting 17 touches? I mean, he's getting the ball in the receiving game, the running game. He's the kick returner and the punt returner.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with him getting all of those touches, right? The only thing is he's getting a lot of attention. That's one thing that should be noticed. He's getting a lot of attention, but what did he do with the touches when he got them? Like, is he really just turning out to be a really, really effective decoy? 4 catches for 33 yards, 6 carries for 16 yards. Like, is he just the super effective decoy man? Like, in the way that everybody has just seen the film on him and heard all the talk about him, so they feel like they need to be watching him in that way. But how much evidence do we have that he really merits that much attention? Also, shout out to Fozzie Whitaker, who is doing his annual I'm going to ball before I get hurt situation. And to be clear, Fozzie Whitaker has been doing this since he was in college. I've been watching him play this game for a long time. And yes, Shannon, here it is. All that attention McCaffrey's getting. 2.9 yards per carry, 9.4 yards per reception. But it's hard to argue that they are not better with his presence just because everybody knows there's a chance. But how many guys command this much respect without actually proving anything in the NFL? And that's not shade toward him. It's just interesting to observe it. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. We got a poll on the ESPN Radio Twitter account at ESPN Radio. Is it time for Shannon to throw in the towel on his Giants just for this year because he's not quitting the narcotic? You go check that out. And let's hit the phones and talk to Mike in Tennessee. Mike, thanks for calling the right time.
What's going on, my man?
Doing all right?
I definitely think it's time for Shannon to throw in the towel on the Giants. I mean, if he's looking to be great at 8-8, he needs to go get on Mr. 50-50 himself, Jeff Fisher.
Shannon, you got a response for that?
Like 8-8 sometimes. In this NFC East, you look at these teams, no one's going to run away. So I figured at 8-8, you position yourself to be right there to win this division. I'm just throwing that out there. No one's going to run away in this division. 8-8 will put you right there.
Mike, you don't believe that, do you?
No, I don't believe it at all. Keep the hope alive, though. I mean, you talked about all this little episode you did about when football quit you. I think this needs to be the year that Shannon quits the Giants.
Mike, man, I appreciate the call. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Coming up next, John Fox is trying to save his job. Is he going to ruin Mitchell Trubisky in the process? You're listening to ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Ryan Clark of ESPN will join us next segment. Ryan Clark will join us at 4:30 Eastern, talk about what's wrong with the Patriots defense. Right Time is brought to you by Select Quote. Get your free personalized quote on term life insurance in just 10 minutes. Call 1-800-290-0303 or go to selectquote.com. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. And we knew that this was probably going to come sooner than later, but the Mike Glennon experiment in Chicago is already over. He gets to keep his $18 million, and now he gets to put on that baseball cap and watch Mitchell Trubisky play starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears. They had a Thursday night game last week. They're going to play on Monday night the week before. And damn, this means we got to watch that game. Like, now all of a sudden this has become relevant to the larger NFL, and now I got to watch that game. I was hoping I could skip it.
Now it becomes relevant because now we get to watch the dawn of the Mitchell Trubisky era in Chicago.
Okay, did anybody think that Mitchell Trubisky was ready to start in the NFL right now? Did anybody think so? Coming into this year, I did not hear a single person that thought that Trubisky could be a day one starter. If you did not think that Trubisky could be a day one starter, then Trubisky shouldn't be your week 5 starter either. Now, that being said, I would have made the same argument about Deshaun Watson. Where I think the situation with Watson, however, is a little bit different, is that the Texans are legitimately playing for a division championship over there. Right? He is absolutely better than the guy in front of him, and they are playing for a division championship. I don't feel like Chicago's playing for a division championship. I don't think they're playing for anything, really. I feel like this is John Fox doing one of two things. Either trying to save his job or trying to save his locker room. It's one of those two things. Because I am of the belief that if you make this decision with a quarterback like this one, where you're like, hey, he's not ready, then don't play him. You take all the L's that you have to, but you do not play him. We used to do this more in the old days. And, by the way, I've yet to see a single piece of evidence to indicate that playing as a rookie is going to make you better down the line. I'm not saying that it can't. I just don't see that as being like an absolute axiom. Like, well, you got to see what we got. No, you don't. We can throw out the names of guys that waited for a couple years before they got out there, and they wound up being just fine. The issue is that makes it somewhat difficult to measure is that so many of the guys that wind up playing right away are so good that we don't know if it's the playing right away or the being good that did the job for them. But I think about a guy like Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers didn't play for 2 years. And then when year 3 came around, Phillip Rivers was lights out. Carson Palmer didn't play his first year there, and then when it was time for him to play, I believe he led the Bengals to the playoffs that year. So the question comes down to what's more important, this year or what the future may or may not be with Trubisky. I would always lean toward not playing the dude. That would be my play, would be not playing the dude. That being said, dude, Mike Glennon looks so bad, and you cannot allow that quarterback to look so bad and then maintain any real level of, like, accountability for the rest of those dudes. Because I think that's really what it comes down to is you got this dude out here. Every other dude on the roster is fighting for his career every week. Mike Glennon out here stinking the joint up, and he still gets to play. No, you can't have that. Right, that's what I think this one is coming down to. We can't have that. We can't ask everybody else to come out here and bust their humps, as they say, in order to try to make this happen. And then your man Mike Glennon. Let me pull these stats up in their entirety. All right, Shannon, we got 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he's averaging a robust 188 yards passing per game. 6 yards an attempt.
He has a handful of fumbles as well.
He does have a handful of fumbles. He does. He absolutely does have a handful of fumbles. He does. My thing is, I feel like what they need to do with Mike Glennon is they should have Mike Glennon, like, standing on the sideline, and they can use him kind of as a spy. Like, basically, all he need to do is just kind of look up a little bit, and he can look all the way over to the other sideline and see what the play going to be. He hit go, gas your neck. Go ahead and stretch that thing out there a little bit. That's right.
So how does this position change go for John Fox and his future?
Hey, man, he's like, yo, we need to show some signs of life. Like, this is the move not just to save your job for the future. This is the move to stop you from being fired within the season. Like, let's get a look here. All right, yeah, the Bears have a bye week at week 9. So for John Fox, the season begins right now because the bye week is when they like to fire you. If I get some positive momentum rolling in here, we can make it into week 9. They get to go play against the Saints in week 8. Maybe your man can put up some big numbers out there in that game, and then you may be able to keep your job and keep some momentum pumping into the following week. I myself personally would probably rather not work than to coach the Bears. That's me. I mean, I could be wrong about this. Whoa, Shannon, did you realize that Mike Glennon had a robust 101 yards passing in an overtime game?
He had extra time to gain those 101 yards.
Yes. They went to overtime against the Steelers, and Mike Glennon had 101 yards. 101 yards. They have yet to score 20 points in regulation this regular season. Yet to score 20 points in regulation. And to be fair, I don't know how much. I mean, it seems a bit unfair to put that entirely on Glennon, except for the fact that I've seen his movies before, and they look a lot like this.
While I will agree with you, if you look at that receiving core for Chicago, it's not the best. I think, Kendall Wright is probably their top receiver?
He is their top receiver. You know who their number 2 receiver is? Some dude I've never heard of. Let's get a look at this, shall we? Let's go to the depth chart. Let me see who plays wide receiver for the Bears, because Alshon Jeffrey doesn't play there anymore. Oh, Kevin White got hurt, right?
Yeah, he got hurt, yeah.
What about that Marcus Wheaton dude? I used to always see him in waivers in fantasy and think about signing him. What about him?
The one from Pittsburgh?
Marcus Wheaton? That where he went?
No, he played with the Steelers, right?
Yes,
and
he
came
did.
to Chicago?
Yes, he did.
He's not with the Steelers anymore, though.
Correct.
This is not Steelers Marcus Wheaton.
Right. Deontay Thompson, who went to Florida? How about him? Yeah. Okay, Mike Glennon, maybe it's not all your fault. Maybe it's not.
The lone bright spot, though, for the Bears has been Cohen, the rookie running back from A&T.
HBCU. It's the MEAC. Also, they got a left tackle named Charles Leno Jr., and I feel like the last thing I want to associate your left tackle with is jokes. That's just me. 888-729-3776. Let's hit the phone, talk to Curtis in Ohio. Curtis, thanks for calling the right time.
Hey, Bell, I was just curious. I heard you mention that dreaded M word a couple times. I'm a big fan of the show, and I thought you didn't believe in momentum. I was just curious as to what that was about.
I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea I had done that until you said it right here. I said momentum twice.
You did. Hey, I'm telling you, listen back to it. I thought I'd just call you out. You know, I gotta hate on you a little bit.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I was okay with you actually doing it till you had to be out here and be the hall monitor and be like, I just had to call you out. You ain't have to do a damn thing, Curtis. You had to do that. Thanks for nothing. Thanks, Curtis. I didn't know I'd done that. I must have been really out of answers if I said momentum.
Yeah, the folks on Twitter picked up on it too.
Oh, wow. I didn't. By the way, not what I was expecting from Curtis in Ohio. What about you, Shannon?
The homie Kurt.
Yeah, I was not expecting that from Kurt. 888-729-3776. Hit the post on the Bill and Riley. Bill, thanks for calling the right time.
Yeah, I got a question for Shannon. Is his Giants trying to tank and take my Jets' #1 pick?
Shannon, what you got?
I saw you with the Sam Darnold Jet jerseys out there. Well, you can't have them. Nah, seriously though, if the Giants do have like a top 10 pick, is it time for them to draft a quarterback?
It was time last year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Bill, I appreciate the call. Yeah, it was time last year. I mean, Eli's old. This is what, year 14? He's old. They should have been thinking about this a lot. He's old. He ain't never been that good. How about that? Isn't that right, Shannon?
He's been good when he's had to.
Hey, look, you get the Chargers next week. Now, I do feel like this, Giants fan. If you're 0-4 and you lose to another 0-4 team, then you absolutely throw the towel in. Right, Shannon? That's what you're going to do? It's not the first time you've had a sorry Giants team. Like, what did you do the last time they were sorry?
Well, what did they do? They go out and win after that or something? I mean, the Giants have had an up and down record with Eli in it. Let's just don't get blinded by the 2 Super Bowl runs. You know, I think a lot of people do that. The Giants have had stretches there where they were mediocre. So this is nothing new. That's why I say strive for great at 8-8.
The only seasons in the Eli Manning era where they have won postseason games were the Super Bowl years. That's it. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, what's wrong with the Patriots defense? Well, that's Ryan Clark on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest covers the NFL for us here at ESPN, LSU alum and Super Bowl champion, Ryan Clark. Ryan, Troy, huh?
So you got to just throw that LSU out there after this Saturday, huh?
I mean, I had to explain why I was asking about Troy off the jump. I was a little bit surprised by that.
Man, you were surprised. I was upset. You know, I'm watching it, and I couldn't believe it. But, you know, what it tells you is that, you know, we aren't a very good football team. Supposedly we have the athletes. We have the two of the highest paid coordinators in football. And you know, we can't beat Troy. And there's no disrespect to them. But first of all, when somebody's your homecoming, secondly, when you pay them $1 million, they ain't supposed to beat you. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday.
Are you worried that something hasty may happen with Coach Orgeron by the end of the year?
You know, I don't necessarily think something hasty is going to happen to Coach O. I think he's going to have to do something that is, you know, a little unorthodox or a little crazy or a little impulsive, and that does scare me.
We're talking to Ryan Clark on The Right Time. Switching gears just a little bit, Shannon wants to know if it's time for him to quit his Giants.
Yeah, all the way. It's over. No question. No question. They done. Finito. They gone. At least, listen, he ain't got to quit him as in not watch him play, because they'll do some exciting things and they'll win some games and mess up some people's playoff runs or playoff opportunities, but they ain't going to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's Shannon. Finito.
Finito. That's a wrap.
Strive for great at 8-8. So I'm going with.
So what's happening there? Do you think it's a talent issue there or a coaching issue?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of stubbornness, a little bit of ego, that you don't find ways to help your left tackle. They did get a semblance of a running game going on Sunday with Goldman Jr., the rookie, playing a little bit. Obviously, Odell is Odell, and he'll make some big plays. But when your defense is consistently and constantly on the field the way that team is, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to get tired. You're going to give up some big plays. There's going to be some miscommunication. And that team, which defense really carried it down the stretch last season, is what hurt it against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But you can't keep putting these guys in the bad situations you do when you got 3 and out and when your punter is punting the ball straight out of bounds in very important situations. Like, you have to help them be better. You have to give them opportunities to rest, and the Giants aren't doing that.
Well, are you surprised they can't generate a running game at all, though? Because, I mean, like, Perkins had 13 yards on 9 carries, and one of his carries was for 14.
Yeah, if you look, I mean, they don't have a great runner. Obviously, when you mentioned Perkins first, when that's the first name that rolls off the top of your head when you're talking about a running game, obviously it doesn't strike fear in the hearts of defenses. They don't necessarily stick to the running game a lot. They're a team that runs 11 personnel, which is 1 back, 1 tight end. So it's never like they're in 2 back sets very often where you can really get downhill and have a lead blocker. So with some of those deficiencies, it's just hard to get a running game going. You saw Goldman Jr. kind of get in there and have a little burst and a little speed, kind of a guy who doesn't need a huge hole. And I think that helps them. Maybe if he plays a little more, you can at least have the threat, because now you can get play action and get the ball down the field. You saw Odell get a double move in there late because they were able to protect a little bit because they had a bit of a running game going.
All right, we're talking to Ryan Clark here on The Right Time. Are you surprised at how bad the Patriots defense has been?
I am. I think the thing that's more confusing is they're not bad physically. It's not like Malcolm Butler's out there just getting torched or, they're getting blocked off the sideline. It's communication errors. It's discipline. All these things that we attribute to Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia defenses consistently being. We're like, you know what? They might not have no good players, but they're going to be in the right place. Or their players might not be the biggest and the best and all pros, but they're going to make sure they keep the ball leveraged. They're not doing any of those things. And so that means it is fixable, but it's also very out of the ordinary when it comes to a Patriots team. So it makes you think, okay, what's going on in New England right now that they haven't had go wrong in the years past?
Now, on the other end from the game against Carolina, how much stock can we take from Cam's performance in that game, given that defense isn't very good?
Well, here's the thing. If you look back, starting from week 1 against San Francisco, and see how many open wide receivers Cam Newton missed. I'm talking about guys just running Scott butt naked, booty free, and Cam Newton missed him. He hit those guys this week. There wasn't as many overthrows or errant throws. There wasn't as many times of him holding the ball in the pocket. There were some called runs on 3rd down that he got on 3rd and short. There was also the running touchdown. So we saw Cam be a little bit more Cam than he had in a long time. And if he does those things, this team is definitely better, but we just got to see if it'll be consistent.
All right, we're talking to Ryan Clark of ESPN here on The Right Time. What did you think about Tyrod Taylor's performance against the Falcons?
I thought he looked really good. I mean, he created some plays with his legs. He had one throw on a post corner that was just big time. And so you're seeing some of the physical talent stuff happen that we kind of always knew he had, but now it's producing wins. And he's a guy that, Mort was making a joke. Yeah, they're always talking about Tyrod Taylor's underrated. Tyrod Taylor's underrated. He's like, he's not underrated because we're always saying that people underrate him. But if you watch Tyrod play recently, he's really stepped up his game.
Let me ask you this, as a former defensive player in this league, what do you think about this new prevalence we're seeing of teams like the Bills? The Falcons did it last year. The Patriots also a lot. The increased emphasis on running backs and tight ends in the passing game.
I think as a safety, it makes it more difficult, but you're also excited because it makes you more valuable, right? If these are going to be the people they're trying to beat you with, if these are the guys that they're going to focus on and highlight, then they're going to have safeties and linebackers that can cover them. So for one point, you're excited. It's also a time for you to make more plays, but you have to be dialed in and play out because you're going to get action.
Is this just the next evolution of NFL offensive football? Like, where's the next place that you can find the wrinkle?
Well, I think the thing is you look at some of these teams, they don't have guys on the outside. And then other teams have special guys at those positions. If you're the Atlanta Falcons and you have Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman, you're going to use them in the pass game because they're excellent pass catchers. They're excellent run after the catch guys. If you have Jimmy Graham and Rob Gronkowski, you're going to throw the ball to them because they're excellent pass catchers. So you also have to have the people to do it. But I think when you look at these more spread teams, they're just looking for matchup problems. They're looking for matchup wins. And so when you have a guy like that who is better than the guy covering him, you're going to go with him. You're going to go with the ball to him.
Now, with the Falcons, would you be worried? I mean, there's some regression we expected this year, but Matt Ryan's turned the ball over 6 times the last 2 weeks.
Oh, he's being the Matt Ryan we knew before he won the MVP, right? The thing that separated the other Matt Ryan from Matt Ryan last year was not turning the ball over. And we've seen him turn the ball over in the recent weeks. Some of those balls have been tipped, not really attributed to bad throws or bad decisions, but they still go down on the stat sheet. And if he's going to continue to do those things, Atlanta won't excel in the way they did last year.
All right, that is Ryan Clark. Check him out covering the NFL for us here at ESPN. Best of luck against South Carolina. That's the next one, right, South Carolina?
Man, why are you acting like that? No, we got Florida, man.
Oh, my bad. I was hoping to give you guys a team that wasn't in the top 25. Sorry about that.
All right, brother.
All right, man, I'll talk to you. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Customers who switch to Progressive save an average of $500. Call or click today and find out if we can save you hundreds on your car insurance.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Thanks to Ryan Clark of ESPN for joining us last segment. Spencer Hall of SBNation.com will join us in the 6 o'clock Eastern hour to talk some college football. The Fall Football Tour on ESPN Radio is brought to you by Goodyear, reminding you that the Russillo Show will be live from Burlington this Friday covering the University of Vermont homecoming. Goodyear, hard-working tires that deliver blimp-worthy performance. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone numbers. How about Deshaun Watson lighting it? Yo, the Texans almost put a 60 on the Titans. The Titans are the team, I believe, that we all thought was going to walk with that division, right? Like, that's what we thought. No, they went and got smoked by the Texans. And look, I am not exactly sure how good Deshaun Watson is going to be. I see him, and he's done good things out there. He has the poise and everything else. I have questions about his arm strength, but they put up a fitty burger on the Titans, and honestly, it feels like kindness is the only reason they ain't put up a 60 on them. Shannon, how in the world did Tom Savage ever start?
I don't know. Maybe they were just thinking, hey, we'll give Deshaun a year to learn the league, I guess. I don't know.
I did not think Deshaun Watson was ready to play this year, but I thought he was better than Tom Savage. And the Texans, since they were actually playing for something, I think wound up in a bit of a dilemma in that I think you should take time with your rookie quarterback. But if you're playing for something and he's the best guy, you probably need to go ahead and put him out there. And look, it's been a little bit of a slow creep with him, right? It's not like Deshaun Watson came out there week 1 looking like Robert Griffin 2012. That's not what we got. He looked like a young quarterback, but then there were moments and throws where you're like, oh, okay, that's what's going on here. And then they just put that hurt on the Titans, the outright hurt on them, 57 points. And that is nuts. And, Shannon, how much you think that had to do with Mitchell Trubisky getting this start in Chicago?
I'm saying, if this rookie can do it, why not us?
Dude, that's all it takes. That's all it takes. See what they doing down there? That's what y'all need to be doing up here. See what y'all doing down there? That's what we need to be doing right here. Also, by the way, from that game, a fact that you may not have been aware of, Matt Castle's still in the league. You didn't know that, did you? Matt Castle is wearing the baseball cap for the Titans these days.
Didn't Mariota get hurt at some point?
Did
Castle have to play?
Mariota did get hurt. Castle had to play. How about this? 4 for 10 for 21 yards and 2 interceptions. You know, but from what I hear, your backup quarterback is supposed to be able to play the same sort of style that your starting quarterback has. So, I mean, maybe it's just an issue of Matt Castle being an immobile quarterback and therefore unable to do the things that the starting quarterback could do. I wonder what the Titans could do if they needed a mobile quarterback who might be able to help the team. You think, maybe where they could find one? What you got?
I'm sure there's somebody out there that skill set is comparable to the starters in ability to run. I'm sure they can find someone, right?
I mean, I think there's a guy out there. I feel like there's somebody that you can, when you think there's somebody out there that you can find, maybe, just maybe. Oh well. But no, Watson, I mean, if he can get them into the playoffs, this all becomes very interesting, if for no other reason that Bill O'Brien's job will be saved by a quarterback who isn't exactly the kind of quarterback that he typically likes. Which would not be terribly dissimilar, by the way, from the Jeff Fisher era with Vince Young. Like, yeah, you don't like this dude, but he has this knack for coming up off the oak and saving your keister. How does that work? Also, by the way, shout out to the dude who said he's been on hold for 41 minutes, but he wasn't on hold. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Switching gears just a little bit. Not sure if you guys heard, but O.J. Simpson is out of jail. Shannon, I don't know if you saw this, but there's probably been about 75 headlines that said the juice is loose.
I wonder how many of those editors thought, I got an original idea right now. We'll go with juice is loose.
Yeah, right? Like, who's the one that's like, hold up, all right, I got it. Or the person who was like, look, I get off work in 5 minutes. I don't care. Juice loose, cool. That'll work. Anyway, is this sound of the dude that ran up on OJ at the gas station? Somebody ran up on OJ at the gas station. This is what OJ had to say.
Juice. How's it feel to be out? Juice.
Man, how in the world? Y'all stalking me? Jesus, man.
Where you guys headed?
Well, one, none of your business. Two, I'm in the car for the last 5 hours, so how do I know how it feels to be out? And, hey, man, look, I've been in nowhere, USA for the last 9 years doing nothing. Nothing has changed in my life. What do you expect? There's nothing changed now. Please, can I have a break here? Thank you. God bless. Take care, guys. Yeah. Nothing's changed.
The wild thing about OJ, though, is that, like, OJ is still in, like, polite in public mode. Because my response would have been a little bit different. That being said, I'm not on parole. Like, I feel like parole affects the ways that you respond to people. You see that, though, Shannon? The Attorney General of the state of Florida says she don't want OJ in the state because he's violent and all these things. George Zimmerman, still roaming free. 888-729-3778. Hit the phones right fast at Jeff in Palm Springs. Jeff, you got about a minute.
Man, I just want to know if the Baltimore Ravens can finally go get us a quarterback that can play. Flacco, I don't know what's up with his back and his AC. I don't even think dude is really all that healthy. You might as well go get Kaepernick. If not Kaepernick, go get Michael Vick, somebody that can move the ball. Because this is crap. Each and every week we go out there. You see we lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, really? 44-7 losing to Jacksonville. Then you come out and you lose to the Steelers? Really, with Ben Roethlisberger and his trash O-line, but we're losing to them? Like, that stuff ain't cool, man. I honestly think the Ravens need to, fire the offensive coordinator or find another offensive coordinator that know to do something with the talent that he got around them.
Well, I got to tell you, man, I appreciate the call. I already forgot that they had lost 44-7 to the Jaguars. And if you want to do another quarterback, there's one that they can't get, and we'll talk about why coming up next. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, we'll talk about the end of the anthem protest on ESPN Radio.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
I'm Jody Avirgan. Have you heard of Blue Apron? Well, now you have. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. The country's #1 fresh ingredient and recipe service, fresh, high-quality ingredients make the difference, so it's important to know where your food comes from. Plus, it's affordable, easy, and full of surprises. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals for free with free shipping. Go to blueapron.com/30 for 30.
Okay, keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
I want to show you my first ever painting.
All right.
Okay. Open your eyes.
Oh, that's a lot of colors and shapes.
So be honest. What do you think?
Well, I like how if you switch to Geico, you could save hundreds of dollars on car insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Here, why don't I hold your paintbrush while you call them?
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Buying tickets to sports and concerts can be way too complicated, but there is a better, simpler way to buy. SeatGeek is the smartest, easiest way to get tickets to live events. And right now, get a $20 rebate on your first purchase. Just download the SeatGeek app and enter promo code Bomani today.
Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet at the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the weekend that the NFL was hoping for. This was the weekend that they needed, and they needed it right when they got it. And what did they get? They got a weekend of really good football, or at the very least, a weekend of really entertaining football. And they got that weekend of really entertaining football at the same time as we saw basically the slow death of the anthem protest, or more accurately, the death of the anthem protest as being like a headline topic when we got to talking about the week in the NFL. Like, this is honestly the first week of the season where I think, and Shady, correct me if I'm wrong, this is like the first week of the season that we've led off the show after football with actual football.
Like games, X's and O's, interceptions, touchdowns.
Right, like things that happen. And part of it, of course, was that the social situation was such that it merited a level of attention. But the other part was, it wasn't like we were like ignoring these games that you guys really, really wanted to talk about. Like, that wasn't what the play was. Like, that was what there was that was out there. That was there to discuss. Well, the anthem, of course, continued to be a big thing, but the owners, Jerry Jones, man, Jerry Jones, brilliant. All these cats came out here and they did the lock arm thing. The owners came down on the field. Then Jerry Jones came down and took a knee. And now the meaning of the whole knee does not really exist. And there's a much larger, longer discussion I can have about how the whole notion of taking a knee has become larger than anything that had to do with any cause that was surrounding it, to the point that the idea of taking a knee has at once taken on too much significance and too little significance. It has taken on too much significance because you have people who believe that if a player is not kneeling for the national anthem, then he's not body righted for the cause, but also not enough significance because the whole gesture has been taken to mean a million things, and now it's being done before the national anthem, which really is not a protest, because I always thought that the notion of the protest of not standing for the national anthem, not standing, because the kneeling part is secondary, but not standing for the national anthem was the way to raise a question as to whether or not the values that the country represents are actually the values that the country has, right? Like, that was what the significance of that was. Now you got cats out here as teams and everything else kneeling before the national anthem, which takes away like the symbolism of America from the whole situation. It was never about the anthem itself. It was about the country, about who we are, and about what we do, right? Now the cats are kneeling before. And by the way, still getting booed. The Ravens took a knee before the national anthem at home, got booed. And I am very curious, by the way, how it is you as a football player go out there after your fans have booed you and you haven't done anything to their national anthem, which, by the way, goes to what I said last week. You have a whole lot of fans who are remembering now that they hate the players more than they actually love the games. Now, Dal Van Natta and Seth Wickersham of ESPN Magazine did a story where they went behind the scenes of the meeting that the owners had with some of the players. A lot of things went down there. Shannon, one of the owners, said that what they wanted to do was make the players all wear a patch that said Team America. And it wasn't that on Adult Swim?
It was Matt Stone and Trey Parker did a movie, Team America.
Yeah. Like, okay, that one didn't go over very well. But one of the observations D. Smith had in this piece was that D. Smith was like, this is a quote, "For the first time, the owners are afraid of the players. It has less to do with money and has more to do with control. The owners are used to being in control, and they aren't on this. They know it. They hate it." Like, the owners really, the way they characterized what went on with Jerry Jones, for example, there really seemed to be a lot of negotiation as the owners understood, like, look, man, we need y'all to stop doing this. What can we do to get y'all to stop doing this? It isn't making things go well. Can we get y'all to stop doing this? And this is now largely done. The owner of the Lions, Martha Ford, she says, the story was that she told her players, I'll put money on the causes y'all want me to put the money on. Just please stop. Like, this is where we were with this. But now, as I said last week, man, once the owners started getting involved in this, man, it's over. Like if the establishment is doing the same gesture as you, your gesture is done. If the establishment is getting behind the cause that you're on, then you've been largely effective. But what they've done is they've co-opted this, and now it's a wrap. Now it's done. It's over. Now, there are perhaps plenty of other gestures the guys may have that they want to do during a game or any other time, but you got to find a different one than taking the knee. Like, the thing about taking the knee is it just became easy to do, right? It's just out there. People are like, well, what did Colin do? Well, Colin took a knee. Okay, then I guess we'll all take a knee. The irony, by the way, of how misunderstood all of this is and how people's, like, I just feel like this thing is all over the place. The guys who are taking knees during games are getting booed by their home fans. The dudes that are just sitting on the bench like ain't nothing going on, who are showing absolutely no respect for the anthem when respect for the anthem is the thing you seem to care about, like Michael Bennett. Michael Bennett is over there sitting on the bench. LaShawn McCoy, while they were out there standing, LaShawn McCoy is just stretching. That didn't turn into the big story. Michael Bennett over there just sitting on the bench. I guess it's maybe because we're numb to the idea of Michael Bennett. Kaepernick did the whole thing of taking a knee as a measure of compromise to show some deference for veterans while making his point. Michael Bennett is like, I ain't thinking about no veterans. I just ain't standing for the anthem. Which, by the way, if you should not go stand for the anthem, then don't. Right? If you feel like that you don't have to stand for the national anthem, then don't do it. Like, try to please everybody clearly is not going to work. Like, if you're going to do it, apparently, you might as well do it like Michael Bennett. Because Michael Bennett, even with the whole thing swirling with Las Vegas around him, Michael Bennett catch a lot less hell sitting over there than the dudes do kneeling in front of the fans. Because when they kneel in front of the fans, once again, the fans get reminded, in very many cases, that they hate the players more than they love the game. Marshawn Lynch showed up to a game wearing a T-shirt that says everybody versus Trump. Marshawn Lynch is not standing for the national anthem, but Marshawn Lynch isn't even bothering to answer your stinking questions. Nobody trips on Marshawn Lynch. You realize how crazy and ironic that is? That the dudes who will stand before you and answer your questions and tell you what their calls are, you have more of a problem with them than a dude who does this and won't bother to even say anything to you. He ain't answering nothing to you. Michael Bennett's willing to answer to you, but Michael Bennett just ain't standing. He ain't kneeling. He ain't doing any of that. He's just sitting over there. And he gets less hell than the Baltimore Ravens do, trying to express to their fans the significance of the situation that they are in. Oh, by the way, now you see why your man Bisciotti was like, yeah, I don't think I can bring Colin here. Yeah, I don't know about that. Our fans actually are very fond of the status quo. They don't really see what the problem is. Black men are being killed unarmed by the police in a way that we find to be a problem. We don't. And that's basically what that seems to be saying to me. They're in the city, by the way, where they've had chances to address these matters. And they're like, nah. We like it when the cops smoke a couple of y'all every now and then. Makes us feel safe. But it's over now. Like, I think from here on out, we are going to be talking about football. Which, I mean, to be honest, I understand the people who say, when they make the argument, I just want this escape, I just want to talk about football. I get where you're coming from to a degree. I find it to be largely disingenuous because the people who say they want to escape from the news they're not the ones getting the blues in the news, right? Like, they're just the ones reading it and maybe they don't like it, but they're not the one when they read the stories in the news and be like, damn, we getting the blues here. It's not really them that are doing that. But I understand the argument. I would much rather talk about football. Shannon, we talk about this all the time when this comes up. I have to be convinced to talk about these non-football things. I would much rather come out here and laugh and talk about football.
Because there are times with some of these non-football issues that there could be a latest development and say, hey, could we do that? But there's nothing really there. But we could. Other shows do it, but we don't. We try to air quote stick to sports as much as possible. When it lends itself to it, we'll stick to sports. But at other times, when you have a major issue going on, we have to talk about it. No, we try, to your point, we try to talk about sports as much as possible.
I'm here for these jokes, man. Like, I am in this because I really enjoy it, and the other stuff is really stressful because it, actually affects my life in a way that it doesn't for a lot of you. But this is where we are now. The anthem protests are now. Whatever point was going to be made, that point's been made. My thing I look at players on, though, is that if you had a problem if you didn't want to stand for the anthem before, I don't understand why you're doing it again. Like, I don't get doing it one time and then going on. Like, if you feel like the anthem is not representing you, then don't do it, right? Making a show out of it one time? No, I don't understand. That being said, here's how you really know the anthem protest is over. You know the anthem protest is over because Cam Newton finally showed up. That dude scored a touchdown. He do it in the anthem, but Cam Newton showed up and balled his fist. Right. Scored a touchdown, put up a fist. And here's what he said he was doing when he put up a fist.
It was to signify, black power. But more importantly, I pray every night for God to give me a pinnacle to give people hope. I did it to show, black pride, because I am an African American. But more or less, I want all people to just see when I played, I wanted them to see the joy that I, go out there and play with.
So played that so you guys could hear Cam's explanation of putting up the fist. That's. We played that because he did that pinnacle thing again. He did that Shannon, what does he think pinnacle means? Are you ready? Is it time to do it? Is it time to do it? Okay, now we can't do it now.
I really wanted to. I really debated doing it, but we are discussing a serious topic now. We're discussing a serious topic, and he's still playing one more time so the people can hear it.
It was to signify, black power. But more importantly, I pray every night for God to give me a pinnacle to give people hope. I did it to raise,
Stop right there. All y'all talk about, I want Cam to talk about it. That's what happens when he talks about it. Shannon, what does he think pinnacle means?
I pray every night for God to give me a pinnacle to give people hope.
What does that mean? Anyway.
You put a person up on a pinnacle and you just analyze them from so many different areas. It's kind of unfair, but, that's the life we live.
So, Shannon, you have to say that.
Ruffle the lion's feathers.
We're still going?
You can probably, ink it in gold.
Our morals are high.
Is that all?
The monotonism of life could get old.
Anything else?
We're not playing ballet.
You're not done.
This offense isn't cereal or quick grits or instant grits. This is a full-on entree.
Anything else?
It could have been contorted in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Hindsight's 50-50.
Word.
You can probably, ink it in gold.
Is that it?
I'm positive.
Oh, he didn't say I'm positive. He said unpositive. Oh, okay. Anyway, anthem protests are over. Cam jokes began. Now we can move on. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, Monday Night Football, a.k.a. the Bomani Bowl. Find out why on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Spencer Hall of SB Nation will join us next segment. Spencer Hall will join us at 6:30 Eastern, tossing college football. That's the old soul song of the day, Tired of Being Alone by Al Green. That's Al Green's first single. I don't know how you put this out and they'd be like, so you got another song? They just did the best one you got? Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that. This weekend, went on the field and at home with bouquets from 1-800-Flowers.com. When you order a dozen multicolored roses for $29.99, you get an extra bouquet for free. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. All right, 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. And tonight is what I am calling the Bomani Bowl. And I don't mean that in no good way, by the way. It is the Bomani Bowl. After Hank Williams Jr. Gets his ready for some football on, then we are going to have a titanic clash of quarterbacks involving Kirk Cousins and Alex Smith with two teams with Native American mascots. Shannon, it's like everything I hate just kind of – well, I don't hate those guys, but you know what I mean. It's a lot to make me angry. Or just
balled
annoyed.
Into one.
Frustrated. Irritated. That's kind of where I am on this game tonight. That being said, this game is actually a pretty compelling matchup, right? It's the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. It is the they 2-1 Washington. They could come to 3-1, get themselves a lead in the division that Shannon thought the Giants might have a chance at winning. But anyway, we got all of that. I don't feel like we have great answers really about either of these teams, in part because I don't think any of us can really believe this Alex Smith MVP-ish pace sort of thing. And then on the other side, I don't know what Washington is truly. They got that win over the Rams, but the Rams, good apparently. The Rams appear to be good, so that's a win that Washington should be able to hang their hats on. How long do you think that Kansas City can be as explosive as they've been on offense? Washington's defense, which I feel like has been a lot better than any of us thought. How good can they be? One thing that's interesting, though, about Washington this year, Kirk Cousins last year threw the ball downfield a lot more and better than I thought he could, right? A lot more and better than I thought he could. Shannon, so far this year, he is averaging 9 air yards per attempt when targeting wide receivers. That is 27th in the league.
It was not there this year.
You want to guess who's dead last? Alex Smith. For all that talk everybody gives about, but here's the thing, that's to wide receivers, because Alex Smith apparently been throwing these deep passes to these scat backs. Like Chip Kelly looking at Kansas City like, yo, y'all hired me, I could take y'all to the big time. It's scat back central. They're all over the place. But the difference, of course, is Kirk Cousins is not throwing 30-yard passes to scat backs. Not 30 in the air. That's not there. But this is, I mean, there's a possibility that these are two teams that could win a division since the Cowboys don't want to be good and the Giants are letting everybody down. Aren't they, Shannon?
There are 3 other teams. Well, there's 2 other teams in this division, Bo. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Giants ain't better than either of them. Audie. Hello, is this thing on?
Talking about the AFC West, right?
Yes, the AFC West, which we thought might have been the best division in the NFL, and the Kansas City Chiefs are the ones who are on top of the AFC West. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. I'm intrigued. I'm kind of ready to rock. And whichever team loses is going to be really mad because they're going to feel like you shouldn't lose to the other.
It's a win for you either way because one of those teams are going to lose, so we'll be talking about them tomorrow, right?
No, that's the thing. It's a lose for me either way because one of those, first of all, every time either one of these dudes does anything halfway capable, right, like tie their shoes or anything like that, somebody going to be on me. Cats be hitting me up about Alex Smith like they really think Alex Smith turned into an entirely different human being. Right, like Alex Smith just turned into somebody else. This is year 13 for Alex Smith, and people are like, well, you know, look at him. I thought you said he didn't throw the ball deep. Where the hell you been? Like, I'm going to get harassed all night long purely on the basis of these two teams playing against each other. Also, strange factoid, Kirk Cousins is 0-4 as a starter on Monday Night Football. Who knew? What's this other number we got here? Did you know, Shannon, Kirk Cousins has only thrown 5.2% of his attempts 20 yards down the field. That's 28th in the league. Didn't know that, did you? I feel like I'm running out of things interesting about the Bomani Bowl.
Well, let me ask you, though, and I pose this question to you off air, though. I get the feeling that if these two teams switch quarterbacks, they wouldn't really make either team that much better.
Well, I wonder what Andy Reid would build around Cousins, because the one thing is, Alex Smith has a mobility that allows them to run this de facto college offense, right? Like he can move in a way that lets them do that. You could put Kirk Cousins in that offense. That being said, with Washington, like Terrell Pryor is still raw in all of that stuff, but Cousins will throw the ball down the field to a wide receiver. Alex Smith is just totally disinterested in the notion and the idea of doing this. He's not there. So it would be interesting seeing what those teams would become if you took one mediocre quarterback and placed him on the roster of, that another mediocre quarterback currently has.
Really quickly, sticking with the AFC West, we got the announcement here. Jack Del Rio says that Derek Carr, Oakland's quarterback, is going to be out 2 to 6 weeks with a fracture in his back.
I don't know about Derek Carr, but for me, if you say it takes 2 to 6 weeks, I'm taking 6. Like, no, still hurts. Still hurts. And also, by the way, Nuno says that this game tonight, the Bomani Bowl, Kirk Cousins versus Alex Smith, is going to end in a tie. And I'm telling you this right now. At the end of regulation, I'm going to sleep. Like, I don't give a damn what's going on. I don't care how exciting the finish is. I'm not watching any more of that, and I absolutely got to. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, as Tennessee hit rock bottom with Butch Jones. We'll talk to Spencer Hall of SB Nation about that on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest. He covers college football at SBNation.com, also EDSBS.com, the best college football writer in America. His name is Spencer Hall. Spencer, are you surprised that Butch Jones still has a job? Because I'm kind of surprised Butch Jones still has a job.
I'm not surprised because I think firing at this point in the season would cash any potential sort of like anything that this season might have left for Tennessee. Now, you might ask in theory, well, what can they do now? How could they possibly redeem their season? Reader, I don't know that. But if they haven't fired him yet, they think there's something left, right? Yep. Otherwise, they don't have anything in mind. That's the other thing. Remember, we always talk about firing coaches. It's always about who do you want, who's on deck, right? Whose number do you have that you know you want to call? And I don't think Tennessee has that.
I feel like they're at a place, though, who they need to call is a little somebody I like to call somebody else. Like, it almost doesn't matter who you hire. It becomes a case of who you fire, but then that's how you wind up with Ed Orgeron, I guess.
I think that's how you wind up with an Orgeron situation, by the way, either way, right, for both Orgeron or for the schools, as long as it's not good there. I think also they're headed for the memory of past impatiences and other bad hires, because Tennessee is probably so shell-shocked from bad hiring at this point that they're terrified they'll walk into another Derek Dooley. Because remember, this has happened before. Remember, Derek Dooley was not choice number one. They went down that list before they settled into Derek Dooley. And that's how you get like an entire year without an offensive line recruit.
Yeah, and the last time they got the guy they wanted, I believe it was Lane Kiffin. We're talking to Spencer Hall of SBNation.com. Now on the other end, so is boring Kirby Smart actually good at this?
He's definitely good at 2017. He's good at truck commercials. He does a lot of those here. And let me tell you, that man can sell a truck commercial. With Mark Richt, it never really felt right. Kirby Smart, he's got enough good old boy to where it like completely feels normal and right for him to shill for a quality pickup truck. He's real good at this year, and he's real good at building the defense. If you ever watch that defense, man, Roquan Smith is playing out of his mind right now. Absolutely out of his mind. I'm not even really sure how good Georgia's offense really is, but I'm also pretty sure that they don't have to be that good with the way that defense is playing. So for the moment, he's really good. However, I would also put the SEC East sticker and remind you that in this grocery store, the best cut of meat you'll find, it still might be expired. This still might be bad, and it might not be fit for human consumption.
Also, how did Georgia wind up with a quarterback controversy? We thought they had their quarterback situation locked up for 3 years last year.
Pick the guy named Jacob. That's really all they need to do. I don't know, man. Like that's a pleasant thing to have, is when you go, I don't know, which guy playing well do we take? They're making the right call, though, right? Like, this is something that I think Texas A&M fans are pretty familiar with, which is, oh man, we have great options here, right? I'm not going to feel much sympathy for you. Remember, I'm a Florida fan. You're like, oh, wow, you have two choices at quarterback. That's amazing. I wonder what that's like.
Yeah, I was about to say, as the Texas fan, I know what it's like to have two good options at quarterback. It can tear your whole program apart.
Yeah, football's not the brightest game. Let's just keep it simple. You really just want one option, right? They really should just go with one. That's also how you end up with the transfer, and that's another thing A&M and Florida fans know a lot about.
We are talking to Spencer Hall of EDSBS.com here on The Right Time. Now, we briefly mentioned LSU earlier. Ooh, boy, I feel like they thought Orgeron was their Dabo, and they've got the super high-priced coordinators, and you just wanted the front man for the program, but it ain't going so well for them.
No, and today I think Ed Orgeron in a press conference said that that Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator, was free to do whatever he wanted with the offense, except for all of the things that he told Matt Canada he wanted done with the offense. So it was, we will not mess with the offense from the head coaching position. And I just messed with the offense from the head coaching position. So, no, right now it's not good. Now, mind you, week to week, this could change. It really could. It did feel like LSU players, I don't want to say they quit. I feel like some of them were making a decision to conserve energy for future efforts to be decided against Troy.
We're talking to Spencer Hall of SBNation.com here on The Right Time. Now, switching gears, Deshaun Watson, great college quarterback, right? Perhaps not as good as we remember in some ways, but great college quarterback. He's gone. Kelly Bryant is in. Nothing seems to have changed. Do I have this right?
That's correct. I keep waiting for Kelly Bryant to have, that first-year starter game, that bad game, and that keeps not happening, right? I think the most glaring thing that you could see from the Clemson-Virginia Tech game is the talent differential between Clemson and Virginia Tech right now. It's more dramatic than I thought. And that's because Clemson has been just going gangbusters in recruiting cycles for not one, not two, but, going on 5-6 years now. And that depth is really starting to show out. Like, they don't really need an offense in order to excel this year, and they have one. And that's terrifying. It should be scary for the rest of the ACC, particularly for teams like Florida State that now have to have, like, a very different first-year starter experience with Blackman after the injury to DeAndre Francois.
Well, have we reached the point where people have forgotten how hard it is to build a juggernaut at a school in the state of South Carolina which doesn't produce that many football players?
we don't really talk enough about that and the job Dabo Swinney's done recruiting there because we sort of say, oh, well, Clemson and Alabama, they're both good. Those are both really good programs. No, back it up. Historically, Clemson is an okay to good program, right, with a couple of real big spikes in there. They're not Alabama, right? They're isolated. They're even more isolated and farther away from, certain, population centers than Columbia is, right? Which means that in the middle of Nowheresville, South Carolina, Dabo Swinney is building a monster. The degree of difficulty on that is way over than what you would have at Alabama.
I will say this, though. If you are in South Carolina and you're trying to build a football program, I would argue it's better to be at the program off of Interstate 85 than the one off 95, because the one off 85 is 2 hours from Atlanta.
That is correct, and that's something that Dabo's wielded like a club in recruiting, right? You want to come up? Hey, listen, just go across the lake. It's right there, y'all. Ample parking. Clemson, we've got ample parking, and playing time is getting, scarcer by the day because we got all this talent. But let's not focus on that. Remember, 2 hours from Atlanta, just go across the lake and turn right.
We're talking to Spencer Hall of EDSBS.com here on The Right Time. USC lost to Washington State, and I'm just wondering how much USC has to hate when they look up and they've got to play a game at either Oregon State or Washington State on an off night. Because I feel like I've seen them lose that game to Oregon State on Thursday or Friday night 2 or 3 times.
No, that's death. And that's that's when USC stumbles on the road, it usually happens somewhere with mysterious fog, bad weather, a lot of fields and a lot of fields and lentils around it, right? Pullman. We were talking about Clemson being in the middle of nowhere. No. That's 2 hours from Atlanta. Pullman's what? An hour and a half from Spokane or something?
You have to fly into Moscow, Idaho.
Yeah, you gotta fly into Moscow number 2 in Idaho, right? You gotta fly into the fourth largest city in Idaho in order to get to Pullman, right? That's bad for anyone. I think for USC too, as a team, they were already in a bad spot. Darnold has thrown I think he's tied for second most interceptions of any player in the nation right now. They're obviously pressing, and you get up against an opportunistic Washington State defense and a really hyped crowd and an offense that was definitely going to get their yards and points. It all added up to something real bad. Now, this is traditionally when you would see a team like this rebound, right? So it'd be interesting to watch USC over the next 3 or 4 weeks where they find out what really works offensively for them.
I don't know why they ever throw the ball. Ever. I don't care who the quarterback is.
I just throw nothing but play action. Nothing but play action and let Darnold loose in the fourth if you're behind because he's way better working under pressure. Ronald Jones II, I've said it all season long. He runs like he hates you. Really nice dude. Runs like he hates you. High knees. I mean, do you want to tackle that? You just want to tackle this moving thresher of a human being? I don't. Just run him until the defense hates life, and then throw over the top. I don't know. Maybe football's not as hard as I think it is.
That is Spencer Hall. Check him out, SBNation.com, also EDSBS.com, and every Monday here on The Right Time. Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right, now, The Right Time is brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics. Take a synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Thanks to Spencer Hall of SBNation.com for joining us last segment. Thanks to Ryan Clark of ESPN for joining us in the 5 o'clock Eastern hour. Thanks to Dave Rothenberg of ESPN New York for joining us in the 4 o'clock Eastern hour. Remember, if you miss anything live, check out the Right Time podcast available on the ESPN app. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. All right, Shannon, what we miss out on today?
All right, so usually I come in here and I set up some sound that we're about to play. But I'm pretty disappointed with the sound that was chosen today. Nuno, one of our production assistants, usually picks the cut if you haven't heard. And he just told me that today's, if you haven't heard, is on the it's on the Giants.
The Giants? Don't you mean the 0-4 Giants?
The Giants in the NFC.
The winless Giants.
Play the sound.
Now the Cowboys, who I think a lot of us thought were a legitimate Super Bowl contender in the NFC. The Cowboys are 2-2, and they are looking similarly mediocre to much of their division. I mean, they look better than the Giants, but these other cats, not nearly as much. Everything we thought about that division is sitting upside down. We got a game tonight where Washington might turn out and go 3-1. Did you expect that, Shannon, that we would have a situation where it would be perhaps Washington and Philadelphia carrying the flag for this little division? Like, Washington looked all offseason like it was set to come apart. And to be honest, we've watched them play. The thing about Washington, at least for me, that has been interesting is that their defense has been much better than I expected, right? Even giving up the 30 in the first game, I felt like their defense was better than I expected it to be. That being said, after seeing the Raiders this weekend, I don't know what to make of Washington holding the Raiders to 10 points because the Raiders were looking rather boo-booey out there against the Broncos this weekend. So what do we have here? Like, we have a division that is legitimately interesting and compelling now because it seemed like we were going to have two teams that were way better than the rest of them. One of those teams looks like they stink, and the other one appears to be underachieving a little bit. And the other thing to me, and you guys let me know if I'm tripping here, the Cowboys seem to be underachieving, but not for the reason that I thought they might underachieve if they were to underachieve this year. I thought that if the Cowboys were to underachieve this year, it would be a byproduct of Dak Prescott suffering a perfectly reasonable level of regression from last season, right? Like, I thought that it would be that now they're putting more on the plate for Dak, and as they put more on the plate for him, then it gets to be a little difficult. We see this with quarterbacks all the time in year two, right? And sometimes he pushes himself off for one more year, but we see these things happen very often. I've thought that Dak has been really good this year. I have felt that he has been better than he was last year, no matter what the Cowboys numbers are, no matter what the stats say. Like, just from looking at him, I thought that he has been better this year than he has been last year, like in a very obvious sort of way. Yet the rest of the team is out here kind of, stanking up the joint. Defense has had, good game, bad game, good game, bad game. Although, Shannon, you tell me if I'm tripping here. Can we count the first good game that the Cowboys defense had? Remind me, who they played the first week? They only gave up 3 points, but I can't remember who they played.
And that's how you guys end the sound, huh? You just gonna end it with
who
that.
Who they play?
Huh? Right there. You're just gonna set me right up into that, huh?
Who they play, Shannon?
They played. It was a division game. It was a home game for Cowboys, right? They beat the Giants.
Oh, word!
Like everybody else who's played the Giants this year.
Oh, really? The Giants haven't won a game yet?
Yeah. If you haven't heard, the Giants haven't won a game this year. All right, so our Twitter poll today on the Right Time on ESPN Radio Twitter account, should Shannon Penn, that would be me, quit his New York Giants for the remainder of the season? And the options were, yes, they're done, or no, plenty of time left in the season. And 80% of the voters said, yeah, they're done. Time to quit the Giants this year. But the one thing I did find it interesting, from those 20%, those folks that said, no, I shouldn't leave, most of them were Giant fans.
So basically y'all are all going to drag each other down? Nobody wants to be miserable alone?
CMB, we all we got. While everybody out here in the rest of the league joking to 0-4 Giants right now, this is our time in which our New York Giant brethren will come together. We will unite. We will stand together. If we have to link arms before, during, and after the game, that's what us Giant fans are going to have to do to overcome the things that we're doing right now.
And if they lose to the Chargers, who are also 0-4?
Oh, yeah, it's a wrap. It's a rap city like Big Tick in the basement. It's over, baby. It's over. All right, well, according to the Los Angeles Times, and I know we'll talk about this more tomorrow, LeVar Ball said he is pulling his son LaMelo from Chino Hills and will homeschool him for the next 2 years, and he will also train him.
I'm just kind of curious to know why. Like, I really don't have a problem with it. I've seen a lot of reactions that people have had about it, but I'm just, curious to know what exactly it is that motivated this decision to do that, because part of it was they had the kids playing at the public high school, and they were all playing together, and that was kind of part of the charm of the story before this whole thing blew up, right? So now you're taking him out of the school, and now he's just going to be at the crib. I mean, okay.
No. If I'm LaMelo, I'm PO'd. You know why? What did LaMelo get for his 16th birthday?
That's right. He got the Lambo.
You got a Lambo for your 16th birthday. And what's the number one thing you want to do when you have that Lambo and you're 16?
Stunt at school.
Stunt at school. Right now, if you had a hierarchy, what's higher on the list? Stunting at school or stunting at the mall? What's higher?
Ooh, but the girl from other schools at the mall. You ain't thought about it like that, huh?
When you stunting at school, you're not just stunting for the girl. You stunting for everybody. You stunting on the teachers, too.
That is
true. You stunting on everybody.
You imagine how salty the teachers are seeing that boy pull up in a Lamborghini. They are working 60 hours a week, buy a poster board and stuff out their own pockets, and this dude pull up in a Lambo.
Quickly, yes or no, tonight, the Bomani Bowl. Does a quarterback in this game throw for over 200 yards?
200 yards, yes. Yes. They will throw for over 200 yards. That will be the case. Watch, with my luck, they're going to put up the best performances of their careers. It's going to be like Montana versus Marino or something like that because people just love to antagonize me. But, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this every weekday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Shannon, Nuno, Spencer, thanks so much. We got McNabb and Custer coming up next.
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
I'm Jody Avirgan. Have you heard of Blue Apron? Well, now you have. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. The country's #1 fresh ingredient and recipe service, fresh, high-quality ingredients make the difference, so it's important to know where your food comes from. Plus, it's affordable, easy, and full of surprises. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals for free with free shipping. Go to blueapron.com/30 for 30.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.